So, some of you are probably wondering why this video is so late. Hey, look at that, a distraction, well, this video has been Obama approved.
Hello, I am Obama and I approve this video. This means you cannot cancel this great human anymore.
Hey, you know, while I got you here, I got us sponsored this time. Would you mind giving me a hand?
Sure, why not?
Alright, sweet. So, let's do this.
Wait, and I don't know what to say to do. You have?
Oh yeah, I should probably get you one of those. ChatGPT. Okay, here you go.
Okay, then, let's get started.
This video has been sponsored by my bank account. Please, give me money. Hey look, Obama's telling you why.
When support and insert names here, an opportunity to make a lasting impact without immediate personal benefits for the greater good. Why not? You join the movement, collective responsibility, and compassion. Let's make a difference together.
Hey, you're cutting out a little there. Could you summarize it in an easy way?
Give a funny man money.
See, that's right. Obama totally approves of this thing. Now, if you go to the link right in the description or right here, you can give me money. I would like that very much. Thank you to me for sponsoring this video, and Obama for helping out. While you're here, though, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Make sure you press that button to help this place.
Obama, we don't tell people to do that here. You know what I have to do.
Okay, then, you obviously don't want my protection from the bad opinions. Obama out.
Wait, Obama, no, don't leave me, no! Funny transition, because I didn't know how to end this gag. Yay! Hello, my ancient mysterious friends. Case here, and I have played The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. And boy, it's good. So just some notes going into this with this first impressions thing is I've gotten pretty far. I've played like 10 hours, which I know is a fraction of how much I'm going to be playing this game. But I haven't done too much story-wise, so I don't have much I can really talk about with the story. I just sat down and played it for a weekend, and now I'm talking about my experience with that so far. Secondly, I'm going to be going into some light spoilers. I'm going to talk about one thing, which is a pretty major part of the game, which wasn't really mentioned in the marketing. So if you want to avoid any kind of spoilers at all, I highly suggest not watching this. Thirdly, I will not be making a review for a very long time. But for those who have seen my stuff, I guess I haven't really done very many reviews, so it's hard to say, but I'm not one for like punctual, on-time reviews. I like to play a game kind of slowly and then just post the video when I'm ready to post it. So you're not going to end up seeing Tears of the Kingdom review for at least a good 6 months, 12 months, year, I don't even know how long. But it's going to be quite a while just because I want to review every aspect of this game. Finally, I'm not sure what footage is going to be like on the screen, but I didn't have time to go record Tears of the Kingdom gameplay footage for like the B-roll of this, so whatever you see, there'll be credits for it in the description. But let's stop going over some logistic stuff and actually get started with this early impressions. To begin with, this game, immediate graphical improvement. We already knew there was going to be like a slight graphical improvement for the game, considering it's now being developed for the Switch rather than the Wii U. But oh boy, there was like way more thought and effort and care put into the graphical improvements than I thought. For starters, the cell shading just looks way nicer. Everything is more polished, it's cleaner. Link looks nicer, like things from the grass. The grass is really where you can tell it's not blurry. It has a little bit more of a sheen with like lighting and stuff. The lighting in this game is also way better. Looks so good on an OLED. Like everything's just vibrant. Well, Breath of the Wild had a little bit more of a muted color palette, which you know is fine. Less is more. But now that we have a little bit more of a contrast, it's great. I was genuinely surprised at how big the world is. We all knew there was going to be the overworld, the sky, and then there's depths too, which we will talk about in a minute. And then there's the hidden fourth layer, the caves. So let's just kind of knock out each one of them and talk about each one, because each one covers something completely different. The overworld is a mix of all four the gameplay styles that the other areas focus on. You got some exploration, you got some puzzle solving, you got combat, you got all the things. You got Ultra Hand, all this stuff. Sky is way more on something I think is more like a Skyward Sword style of gameplay. The sky's a lot more linear, at least where I've been. There's a lot less to explore. Usually the point of the island is just to have a shrine or Zonai puzzles and stuff. And there's also a lot more like Ultra Hand Zonai building stuff there. Overall, it focuses less on combat and all this stuff and focuses more on puzzle solving, which is great because like outside of shrines we don't have very much for puzzle solving. No, I have not made it to a dungeon yet. I'm sure there's plenty to do there. Next up we have the depths, and the depths, they're just great. Okay, there's this dark area that takes up the entire map. It's really nice because I love the idea of light now being a resource. And then there's stuff everywhere, and the idea of having to go to these big glowing spots is great. Enemies are so much harder. The fact that getting hit actually means something now. You can either go for stealth or combat, but you're pretty much going to have to do one of the two, otherwise you will get caught. And then things such as like the glowing being under shrines, meaning they kind of go in tandem because you can use the depths to help figure out where shrines on the overworld is, or you can explore the overworld and then have the depths kind of figured out because you can just use the two maps to help you figure out where stuff is. So the depths with its focus on combat and stealth is great. And the final layer is the hidden layer of sorts. It's the caves. They focus more on combat and they're also highly linear, making it more like a traditional Zelda game where there's just less to explore and it's more just going in one direction. Which, I mean, isn't a bad thing. Their caves are sporadic enough where it doesn't feel like there's just too many of them. But at the same time, these things can go on for miles, and they're awesome complexes. It's great to go explore them. They're a very nice change of pace from just running around on the overworld. Now, one concern I had going into this game was the overworld and kind of the reuse of it. And of course, I haven't explored the whole thing. It's possible my opinion will change as I keep going, but they remixed the heck out of this thing. The map is completely different. I don't recognize anything anymore. Everything just is seamless, it's all nice, it looks great, it's awesome. The land is very flat, which is like, why does that matter? All it does is it makes traversal feel slower, and that's true, but they did this for one key reason, so you could ride a horse. Because once you have your horse, then it's like in the first game, you had a horse, but what was the point? You were gonna get sidetracked in 4 seconds, and then you would have to leave your horse behind because it wouldn't climb the mountains. But they redid like how generous the horse was, and so it'd be more willing to climb up slopes, so you didn't have to force it. I haven't had to hold down like ZL once when using a horse to like force it into going up an incline. Yes, it does make traversal feel slower because the land is so flat, but at the same time, it makes getting a horse all the more rewarding. And at the end of the day, I think I like this method a lot more than Breath of the Wild's original. Now, there's one question we all had going into this game. What was the tutorial gonna look like? Were they gonna do the Great Plateau again? Were they gonna do something different? And if it was the Great Plateau, how well would it do? Unfortunately, the Great Sky Island, this game's equivalent to the Great Plateau, just doesn't hold a candle to the Great Plateau. Maybe it's nostalgia, I don't know what it is, but the Great Sky Island is significantly less fun than the Great Plateau. Don't get me wrong, it still has its moments, but there's too many inclines and things, and it's really hard to move around. The only way to get around super well is by using the devs' one intended way. Any other way, and you're gonna have trouble. Well, with the Great Plateau, you could really go just about anywhere and do the shrines in any order, and you'd have to put about the same amount of effort to actually do it. The Great Plateau was a lot more streamlined. It was like you knew exactly where you need to go. It was easy to get there, but the fun part was not going there immediately and going to check other stuff out. With the Great Sky Island, they just didn't do a good job of like making sure you knew where everything was. I found out today that there was a refinery there and a mine too, and I was like, wait, what? I missed an entire segment of that map, which, you know, you could do in the Great Plateau, but it was a lot harder to do so. Because with the Great Plateau, you were really able to tell where everything was, and it was easy for you to see, oh, okay, I haven't been over there yet, let's check that out. Well, the Great Sky Island, everything just looks a lot more generic, and there isn't as much distinctiveness to it throughout the map. It's definitely a lot more distinct than the Great Plateau as a whole, but, like, throughout individual locations, there isn't, like, oh yeah, there's the big rock with the mushrooms on it over there, which is near the house. There isn't, like, that one spot with a giant forest. Instead, all of the Great Sky Island is just trees, grass, floating rock. That's a nice rock. Oh, there's that one guy. Oh, there's another one guy. There's a guy in every, like, 4 spots. That's what the Great Sky Island is like. Another thing this game does a lot better than Breath of the Wild is they heard the complaints about story problems, and they were like, oh, so you guys want a story, huh? And then they proceeded to give us a story. The scenario in the opening cutscene is amazing, and I'm not going to talk about it here as there's probably some people who didn't heed my warning and are still listening. And I'm not going to get into it as that's like too much spoilers, and it's not light spoilers as I'm trying to do here, but there's so much like cinematic stuff. The towers, the cutscene you get as you like use them is great. The music is awesome. As you do your, you know, in Breath of the Wild when you like leave the shrine and you had that moment where you see just the entire world and the opportunities that await you and how cool that feeling was. Somehow they topped it again. You just get chills. And you don't even see the entire world. You're seeing a very tiny fraction of what's being offered. And yet, for some reason, it's just that awesome. They also the devs did a lot of things to help, like, things out. They threw in so many quality of life improvements. They have, for starters, when you open a chest, you can finally swap the item without needing to go into a new menu, or without having to back out, change the menu, and then back out of the chest again, or open the chest again to get the stuff. Nah, you just do it if it says your inventory's full, without needing to open the chest a second time. There's also now a lizard, which you can create an elixir that'll allow you to climb up wet surfaces, which is just awesome. Rain can't stop me now, which is great to think about. And then there's so much other stuff I probably don't even know about, because I've barely played the game. Pushing past quality of life improvements, let's talk about the game's other big features. The new runes that we get. The arm abilities in this game are awesome, and surprisingly way more useful than I thought. Me and everyone else thought Ascend was gonna be this, like, dumb little gimmick, but apparently not. As I'd say, Ascend is the most useful rune in the entire, like, game, as you use it to exit a lot of caves, and the devs use it for some great puzzles and in some great ways to traverse. And then when you build things, you're able to save materials if you just build a tower and then just build a thing, so then you just swim right through it, and it allows you to not have to climb stuff. It allows you to travel way higher without needing to worry about stamina and all that stuff. On the other hand, though, Recall is the least useful, which is kind of funny because I thought it'd be more useful, but it's really, you use it every once in a while, but it's really the devs only input it there for puzzle solving purposes, and so you can, like, get up high from a falling rock. Ultra Hand is surprisingly intuitive. I was kind of shocked with, for starters, how well the game actually runs with Ultra Hand. It doesn't really drop a frame. I was also just surprised to see how useful Ultra Hand is. It's still not as useful as Ascend, but it's something you're going to be using all the time to build all sorts of contraptions, and it is so much fun to do so. It's something I can't wait to experiment with more as I get access to more and more Zonai parts. Finally, we have Fuse, and Fuse is pretty good. I mean, you're gonna end up fusing almost all your weapons, so it becomes whenever you get a new weapon, you fuse it almost immediately. But it really helps with, like, making sure you fight enemies and weapon durability and all this stuff. Because it's like, you fuse a weapon to a weapon, it's gonna break because of something that happens in the story. But if you fuse a weapon to something else, it's gonna stay durable for quite a while and arguably do more damage. It's one of those things where it all works. It works intuitively, it works well, and all these systems work together great. And the Fuse system makes a risk and reward system, because it's like, what's the point of going to fight these enemies that are way stronger than me? It's not like I'm gonna get anything, except like a big sense of accomplishment. Now, the reward for fighting enemies that are way harder than you is you're gonna get way stronger weapons, and it'll help you out later on. And it makes things better than weapons just gradually get stronger due to some arbitrary XP system that's invisible to the player. Overall, I could already talk for hours about Tears of the Kingdom, but I better not. So, my friends, what do you think of The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom? Have you played it yet? Are you waiting a while? And also, what's the latest speedrun? I'm just curious. I wanna look back at this video in like 5 years, once they've figured out all the glitches in this game, to see how they finished it in 2 minutes. Just because it's really they're gonna figure out how to get to the final area. You throw in the Ultra Hand, and then you just go. Because someone already has beaten it in 92 minutes. So I'm really curious to see how things continue to progress. But until we meet again, my friends, I want you all to have a wonderful day. Goodbye.